If you have been on self-improvement for even a month now, you must have tried Nofap at least once. You must have read the dangers of masturbation somewhere, and that must have given you a little bit of dopamine to start your Nofap journey. You must have gone 3 days or even 5 days without masturbation. But then you relapse. You think to yourself that, oh, I have relapsed, I have nothing to lose now. Let's just masturbate again. And by the end of the day, you end up masturbating 8 times. Yes, 8 times. And then you become heavily depressed. The next day you wake up with a fuck ton of motivation and you say to yourself, this time I will go 30 days without masturbation. 3 days later you masturbate again. And then the next day later, you wake up with even more motivation. You say to yourself that this time I will go 60 days without masturbation. 2 days later, you relapse and you become heavily depressed. You are now stuck in the dangerous cycle of Nofap. I was a victim to this cycle for over 12 months and spoiler alert, it fucking ruined my life. One of the biggest problems with Nofap and the Nofap community is that they treat it as if it's some sort of video game. They refer to the number of days they have not masturbated as streaks, and these streaks are similar to that of levels of a video game. They go 10 days without masturbating, or in the case of video games they reach level 10, and then they fight the final boss, that is the sexual urge, and then it's game over. They die. They relapse. The thing is that the game that they're playing has no end. In this game, people reach level 100 or even level 1000 and then die. They go 1,000 days without masturbating and then they relapse. Can you imagine? The game has no end. This game is just like Pac-Man. You know, Pac-Man has no end. You can reach level 100, but you can still die, and if you die, you will have to start from level 0 again. So it's just like Pac-Man. They reach level 100, they reach level 1000, and then they die, and they have to start again. And then they are stuck in this endless cycle for the rest of their lives. When there is a start to a tunnel, there is always an end, and that end is you relapsing. This is the biggest problem with the Nofap community. They treat Nofap as if it's a video game. They refer to it as a video game, and that's why most 99% of people fail in Nofap. Another common practice among the Nofap community is cutting down. You know, some people think that if they cut down or if they go on a porn diet, like if they masturbate every X days, for example, if they masturbate every 3 days, slowly but surely their sexual urges will go. But it's the complete opposite. Their sexual urges are now on their all-time high. They can't focus on work. They're always thinking about porn. They are always waiting for that day, that X day, that on which they will masturbate. They're constantly visualizing which porn video they will watch on that day, and this makes them to not being able to focus on anything, and this just deprives their brain of that dopamine. This is the slowest form of death. Seriously, this is the slowest form of death. You're depriving your brain of dopamine, and then you're giving your brain dopamine at the same time. If that makes any sense, I don't know. But beware of cutting down. This thing is like, you cutting down is worse than you counting streaks. Seriously, if you cut down, if you think that if I masturbate X amount of days, my sexual urges will go, you're completely wrong. Because your brain will be deprived of that dopamine, and you won't be able to focus on any work. Instead of cutting down, in my opinion, if you're struggling with Nofap, just quit it altogether. The biggest problem with the fucking Nofap community is that they think that generating enough fear in people's brain will make them stop watching porn. You know, sites like yourbrainonporn.com and many other scientific studies think that if they generate enough fear in people's mind, people will magically somehow stop watching porn. What generating fear in your mind really does is it does two things. First, it doesn't help you to quit porn, and second, whenever you relapse, whenever you masturbate, it just makes you feel more guilty and more shameful. Whenever you masturbate, hormones are released from your brain of shame and guilt, and your brain misinterprets them as if they're part of your sexual arousal routine. So whenever you masturbate, your brain thinks that you're sexually aroused whenever the hormones of guilt and shame are released, and therefore it just fucks up your neuro pathways. And this shit is dangerous. You know, when I got to know about this, the dangers of porn, I started reading a lot about this shit. I got to know about the delta force and the neural pathways. And whenever I would masturbate, I would my post nut. There is a post nut clarity. After nutting, I just think to myself, what the fuck did I just do? So there is this thing called the post nut clarity. So every post nut clarity, my mind will be filled with, oh shit, now my neural pathways are greased with delta force B, this would make me more this, like full of dumb scientific shit. And that made me heavily depressed, and this generating fear method is the reason why most of the people commit suicide by their porn addictions. Most people think that they would rather die than live with this fear. If you want to quit porn, generating fear in your mind won't work. So think logically. Now if this Nofap doesn't work, how the fuck do you quit porn? And how did I quit porn? I have not masturbated for around, I don't know, I don't even count it. I'm not a pussy. So I stumbled upon this book called Easy Peasy Method to Quit Porn, and that book is magical. It changed my life. It helped me to quit porn, and I've not masturbated, I don't know, for like over a month now. So my recommendation to you is just read easypeasymethod.com. I will link it in the description, and it will fucking change your life. It will help you to leave masturbation forever. It isn't like Nofap. It won't generate fear in your mind. It won't tell you to count your streaks, and it will just tell you the most logical method to quit porn. I hope you quit porn, and I'm rooting for you, even if I'm just another guy on another side of the world. Alright, I'm rooting for you, bro. I hope you quit porn.